Hello, good afternoon. I'm here once again, Pastor Ayodeji Odukoya of Heaven's Gate Revival Assembly. And if you have been blessed by my past videos, I pray that God will continue to, increase you. And the only thing you can do for me is help share the video to your friends, to people on your friends list, so that they also can be blessed by the video. However, in continuation of our series on challenges, today I'll be treating controlling our emotions. That will be a little short, but basically it's the message inside that I want us to grab and understand. Because a perfect example of what I'm saying, people, when they are faced with challenges, they break down. And when they break down, it takes a while for them to come up. Take for instance, when the Shunammite woman that Elisha prayed for, and then said she was going to have a son the following year, she had a son. And at some point, the boy died. And then she saddled her ass and decided to go and meet the man of God. She went and met Elisha. Elisha saw her from far away and was like, why is this woman coming? And quickly sent Gehazi to her and said, please, go and find out why she's coming. She has never left her place to come look for me before. And then immediately now told, ask her if it is well with her, if it is well with her husband, if it is well with her son. And the woman, she had control, she kept control over her emotions, that when she was asked what came out of her mouth shows that she had control over her emotions, were in place. She knew exactly what she was coming to do. And then when she was asked, is it well with your husband? It is well. Is it well with your son? It is well. Is it well with you? She said, it is well. Then it was when she finally got to the man of God that she now told the man of God exactly why she had come. So my brothers and sisters watching, I want us to have good control. Because take for instance, if what happened to Joseph happened to us, a lot of us will not have would not want to have any relationship with our extended families, with our siblings anymore. Most importantly, when they are the root cause of that situation. Because what did Joseph do to have warranted him being sold into slavery? It was basically out of envy. And even with that, when he was sold into slavery, that alone was enough to give him an emotional breakdown completely, and he would have gone into depression for a very long time. Now, if you have control over your emotions, going into depression would not even come in any way. Secondly, when he was taken to Egypt, sold like a piece of animal in the slave market, Potiphar bought him. Joseph should have been in a state of depression at that particular point in time. But no, when he got into Potiphar's house, he braced himself up. He faced his duties as though he was getting paid for them. And at the end of the day, he rose. Just like if, for instance, I work in a company, I work very hard. Now, naturally, if my contribution is something that my bosses notice, and then, of course, when I get to a certain level, the board of directors will notice my contribution and decide, okay, fine, let us make this person a partner. Joseph rose and was made the number one slave in the house, to the point that Potiphar's wife fancied him. And then yet again, another trouble came again, another challenge. Say, and then for not committing adultery, for not doing anything at all, for refusing to commit adultery, he was thrown into prison. Yet he maintained that positive attitude, strong control over his emotions, and at the end of the day, he was in charge of the prison, other prisoners, where he, and then the opportunity came for him to meet the baker and the cupbearer. When he saw them in a state of, worry, and was like, what is troubling you people this morning? And then they said they had dreams. He was able to interpret the dreams to them. And at the end of the day, that interpretation, after 2 years, got him in the presence of the Pharaoh himself. I don't want to, everybody knows what happened afterwards. But because I couldn't imagine myself being sold as a slave in that kind of situation. This is not a story. This was something that happened in real life, that at the end of the day, the stories were written for us to learn. So I would say, let us keep control of our emotions so that we'll have control over our situation. Because having control over your emotion determines what comes out of your mouth. Having control over your emotions determines how you react. Having control over your emotions helps you to seek God immediately. Remember what happened to David? Those men, they went out to look for food. By the time they got back, the entire camp was empty. Their wives and children had gone. What is the first thing that they did? They broke down and cried. They cried to the point that they had no strength anymore. That is not the way we're supposed to react. But I must be honest with you. It is important that you respond emotionally in a positive way. Fine, they cried and didn't, because, say for instance, they cried, and the men that followed David started, that is just because they broke down emotionally, and then check the next action that they took. They started to conspire against David to kill him, that he was the one that was responsible for what happened to them, because they felt they had lost hope of having to, of ever getting to get their wives and children back. So they are beginning to gather themselves. This man causes him, more kill him. Because if a lot of things, when they broke down emotionally, they started to think wrongly, and then they started to speak negatively, conspiring, thinking that killing a man will solve their problem. Killing their leader, will solve their problem. But that is not the case. So, thank God for David and the grace upon his life. He quickly prayed. He cried with them, identifying with them. And then went and prayed and said, God, what will I do? Should I pursue? Would I what was it? Said, should I pursue? Said, would I overtake? Would I recover? He pursued, overtook, and recovered all. Not one person was lost. David had control over his emotions. That was how he knew exactly what to do. His next action was he went into prayer. So that's what God expects us to do. Our challenge is supposed to help us draw closer to God. God will help us in Jesus' name. So having control over your emotions helps you to react positively to your challenge, and at the end of the day, just like David, you will have victory in Jesus' name. I pray, I want to make a special request. Like my video, make your comments, and above all, share. God will bless you in Jesus' name.